You mentioned, you're like, hey, when we found out he got the transportation job, we laughed. But you said something like, oh, if he got this other job, then we'd be like, okay, well, at least that kind of makes sense. Yeah. Like, is there anything that you think he could potentially be qualified for? I mean, laughably, it's not the one job he has, but anything else?
Fundraising. He's good at fundraising. Yeah. I'll give him that. As far as being in a cabinet position or something like that, no, not necessarily. Maybe an ambassador to some other country or something like that. He's pretty easy to talk to. He'll avoid conflict in the media. He would avoid my show like the plague. The only time he would come on my show is if we were going to do a Memorial Day event together and he knew I wasn't going to make it political, because it's not about us at that point in time. Sure. Yeah, he would come on and promote that event with me, and we would go and do that event. But he wouldn't actually come on and debate and discuss, but he would go on everybody else who wouldn't ask him tough questions. So he avoids conflict. His skill set, I think, is being nice to people, being along with people, which he is adept at, and raising money. So if there's a position for him to do that, that's where Pete Buttigieg belongs, but he does not belong in public office where he is setting policy for anybody.
It's just amazing that we're all learning about Pete Buttigieg, but the people of South Bend, Indiana, and you in particular, all about him. And you guys are just like, what do you do? Or like, welcome to the party. We've known all about this guy for a decade.
That's what my opening line every time I do one of these things is like, we tried warning you. We tried desperately warning you. Politico came to town to launch his presidential campaign, and they didn't interview anybody. Like they walked with Pete around downtown South Bend and all that stuff. They didn't interview anybody. I mean, they didn't go to anybody who's local in media or anything like that. So Politico, which, I mean, he's got some friends at Politico that helped his political career. They've completely ignored. National media has really kind of ignored everybody here. And we've been screaming at the top of our lungs, like there's major problems with this guy. You certainly don't put him in as transportation secretary. What are you thinking?
Of all the things, and he'll run for president again, I'm sure, too, right? That much arrogance. Casey Hendrickson, check out the show, 95.3 MNC. Casey, great to talk to you, brother. Appreciate you.
Thank you so much for the time. I appreciate it.
Hey, thanks for watching that clip. We did a whole special on Mayor Pete Buttigieg. It's such a fascinating story. The fact that he was the son of a Marxist professor. I bet you didn't know that. So his life and his time as mayor, and then the failures of his time as transportation secretary. But there's a bigger story here. There's a couple bigger stories. One of them is it's the death of meritocracy in this country. That this guy could ever be nominated to this position. And then how the lack of shame and humility to even accept it. All these big themes and the specific details we break down on the special that's available at thefirsttv.com/support.